Welcome back. So this is everything I got for the month of February 2024. Um, as always, pretty decent looking stack. Got some books that are ending. Some series I'm reading are not shipping monthly, and then I started reading a bunch of the new Ultimate comics, so I got a few more of those picking up as well. So starting things off, I Hate Fairyland 11. In the last issue, um, Claudia broke out of Fairyland and she ends up in the real world. What's really good about this issue is the entire issue, and I'm not joking because they make a joke about it at the end of the book, is just a setup for one drawn out fart joke. Um, it's pretty good. It's just Gert is in Fairyland getting reports of what's happening to Claudia, and like she's getting hurt and like, oh, is she dead? I don't think she's dead. And you jump back to the world and Claudia's not dead, still trying to survive, gets hit by planes, as you can see, like just fun stuff like that. And then there's literally a line at the end of the book that's just like, was this whole thing just a setup for a fart joke? I would expect more from the writers, but yeah, I'm really digging this book still. I just really love the humor of Scotty Young. It's great. Brett Bean's been just doing such a great job on the art as well. It looks very much like the volume one, I would say. Yeah, love this book. Highly recommend it. Moving on, Transformers number 5. So Danny Warren Johnson does only have, I think, one more issue on art, and then another artist is taking over, and I can't remember his name right now. That's gonna bug me. I probably won't remember it until I actually get that issue. But a lot of good contrast between like wars fought on both Cybertron and Earth, and just like coming to terms with the cost of battles. And then the Autobots actually build up this generator, and they're going to start charging up and repairing all the Autobots. Starscream attacks, and yeah, fight ensues. Optimus is using Megatron's arm. There's yeah, he just blows away. I don't know the name of this Decepticon. He's the camera. It shows up here somewhere. Da, da, da. I don't know. Frenzy. Oh, Reflector. That's a very good name. Yeah, just blast Reflector into pieces. Like, just gone. And yeah, RC's a sweet little Lamborghini now. She's back. And yeah, it basically kind of, oh, yeah. Oh my God. It ends basically, they try to go take the Ark back, and then Starscream's use the last of the energon that they have on the ship to get Devastator up and running. So yeah, that'll make a great like final issue. Again, this book's been awesome start to finish. I think I'm trying to think back to all the Transformers reboots I've read in my years of reading comics. This is probably the best one. I'm biased though because I really like Daniel Warren Johnson. But I remember when something like IDW had a really good launch, and then I want to say DreamWorks or Dream something. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the company. It was like early 2000s. That was a pretty fun one too. But this is like a perfect. I Because I'm older, I'm a bit more nostalgic for Transformers than I was when I was younger. You can definitely feel the love coming from Danny Warren Johnson on that book. Yeah, Usagi Yojimbo. So this is the epilogue to Ice and Snow. They did outrun Jai, Jai. I'll learn to pronounce his name properly. And they make it to this village, and like, oh, we're safe. But then the village turns out to be a bunch of like werecats. And yeah, they have to fight their way out of there. And then they're basically just like, let's just get like, we're done. We're done with the mountains. Like, this has been too much. We fought yokai and witches and gangs and J J Jae. Go Jae. And then yeah, werecats. So yeah, it's done. I don't know if there's gonna be a new series next month. I think they're not publishing these. Like, I think this series, like this was a monthly book, but then I think there might be small breaks between. That's what I get from reading the ads, anyways, in the Usagi Jimbo books, that there might be a break between arcs, which is totally fine. Zorro, Man of the Dead, issue 2, Sean Gordon Murphy. Zorro's back. His sister, well, not the Zorro, but the narcos. It's like the small town gets taken over these narcos, and the sister, brother, their parents were killed, and their father was like he would dress up as Zorro for a festival every year. And the trauma of seeing his parents killed drove their son. He went to live with this guy who's a big Zorro believer, and kind of trained him to be Zorro without him actually, I think, becoming Zorro. then these narcos take over the town. They're shutting it down, and it's up to Zoro to save everybody. So it's pretty fun. It's like a really fun book. Um, it's got a very much like setup. It's kind of reminds me of like those Mark Miller writes books that are clearly like 5, 6 issues that could easily spin into like a movie or TV show. Sean Murphy stuff usually is not like that, but this definitely get that kind of vibe. I think it's a little more like grounded in the real worlds compared to like plot holes or the Batman stuff he's done. But yeah, I really dig the art. It's pretty rad. And there's one villain here that just totally gives me Danny Trejo vibes. So that's kind of what I was thinking the movie thing. But yeah, see how that goes. Oh, one more thing I remember when I was reading this was I always hear that comic artists, some not, there's kind of this joke that they don't like to draw cars. I've said this a million times about Sean and Gordon Murphy. This guy loves to draw cars. He draws some pretty awesome cars and some like pretty wicked just car chases. So God's issue 5. This is just a one-off kind of story. But then I learned just the other day that this is not going to be an ongoing. They're gonna end this with like issue 9 or something. I think like that. It was a real shame. I've really been like, I just find you can't have anything original at Marvel Comics. Maybe I don't know if the sales are not great, but it's a nice little story. These women who collect men and then sacrifice them to gain these letters to a message that they're trying to decipher, which is kind of cool. Every time they sacrifice a guy, they get like one or two, well, like one letter, and they're almost there. And then this character, they have her name in the front, Mia. She goes to Win, who's like our main magic user. She's a magic user, but she's working with the those who came. No, the science team science, I'll call them, and they kind of team up to save Win's apprentice because he was taken by these ladies. What's cool is she's like, this has been great. I really like hanging out with you, Win. I can't wait to kind of like grow my power and become like you. And he's like, sorry, I've got bad news because you've joined with the other side, even as just an apprentice. Like you're like you're not cursed in a way like you won't get strong, but like the organization he works for, it's gonna kill me not knowing this. The powers that be, because she's an apprentice of the natural order of things, she can never join the powers that be. They'll see her as tainted, that she chose that side, which is kind of sad, but really fun book. And again, it's going to come to an end soon. And then, yeah, I don't know what Hickman's going to be working on next, but, well, I know some of the books, I'm reading them right now, but maybe some new could pop up. Space Usagi, issue 3 of 3. It's a nice little battle in here. Usagi obviously saves the day. The princess who he was kind of flirting with in the last issue, turns out pulled that royal family pulled like a Queen Amidala, and she's not the queen. She was just standing in as the queen in case something happened, or the princess. Sorry, standing as a princess. So in the end, Usagi kind of gets the girl, which you don't see in the main book too often. And yeah, just a really fun story. I love Usagi Yojimbo, as I say every single month as I read tons and tons of Usagi Yojimbo. So can't go wrong there. Ultimate Spider-Man 2. Yeah, what can I say? Great book. You got Ultimate Green Goblin on the cover there. He shows off for a little couple panels. Peter's still trying to figure out what being Spider-Man. His family doesn't know he's Spider-Man. I thought he talked to Mary Jane about it in the first issue, but I guess I was wrong. I think talked about like it's okay for him to have some change in his life, like a change as Spider-Man. His costume is black, but it's interesting because like the face opens up. I don't think it's a symbiote. Could just be like Stark Tech. There's a joke here where he's like he's still getting used to trying to stick the landings, but he's learning like the extent of his powers and like how far he can go. Uncle Ben and J. Jonah Jameson, they're trying to figure out, they see there's a picture of Spider-Man, which Peter does submit to the Daily Bugle, but they don't work for the Bugle anymore. And they're trying to figure out not who Spider-Man is, but there's a lot going on suddenly, like because the Green Goblin's out there attacking Kingpin, who owns the Daily Bugle behind the scenes, is kind of a shady person. This is a fun little action between Shocker, Spider-Man and Shocker in the Ultimate Universe. It's kind of this ongoing gang. Like in preparation for Ultimate Spider-Man, this new version, I've gone back and read the entire original Ultimate Comics line. It's like 750 comics. I'm in like the last 20. I'm at the very, very end. The whole thing gets destroyed by Galactus. I think they beat Galactus. I don't know. I never read that much, but there's this running gag between Spider-Man and Shocker throughout all those books, with the first Ultimate Peter Parker, then with Miles. So it's kind of fun to see that little nice homage to them fighting here. Yeah, you can kind of see here, like I said, his suit opens up, but his daughter does see that he is Spider-Man, so that's their secret. You learn the Kingpin is working with Captain Britain, who's from the Maker's Council, and this guy reveals that, like, yeah, we kind of basically divided up the Americas between a few people. You're one of them. Like, get your kingdom in order. Like, the Green Goblin's attacking you. Find out who he is. And yeah, it's just a fun book. I'm still digging it. The art is really great. This Mark Cicchetto, yeah, Mark Cicchetto is killing it. And yeah, it's great. It's great reading good Spider-Man comics, and we're looking forward to more of this. Immortal Thor #7. So I did cancel this book. I think this is the last issue. I always end up, because of how in far advance I order books, when I'm like, I want to cancel this book, I usually have to commit to like 1 or 2 more issues because they order them for me specifically. So I am just reading this. It's still okay. There's like sometimes I get to issue 6 and I'm like, okay, this is not the book for me. And then read those next 2 issues, I'm like, well, okay, maybe this new arc is actually pretty interesting. But it's not so much a new arc. I still, Thor and Loki are trying to figure out these old gods. They're meeting like the original gods, and there's some stuff happening with Enchantress and the Minotaur. And yeah, it's not for me. Like, I give this book an honest chance. Nothing against, either, Al Ewing or the artist, Martin Koklo. The art's fantastic, honestly. I'm really digging the different versions of Thor and Loki you see as they're kind of traveling between these realms. But yeah, it's just one of these books I can tell this is gonna be like a 20, 30 issue thing where it's like, oh, like I should read this all in one go. This is like, wait for it to get Marvel Unlimited and then read it there. Ultimate Black Panther. So another Ultimate book. So the African nations are ruled in secret by Khonshu and Ra. That's these 2 guys right here. So I guess Moon Knights. And no, Wakanda is still in the Ultimate Universe, still kind of this hidden paradise in Africa that's technologically advanced. T'Challa is the king. His father T'Chaka is still alive, and he's being told by his spies that like Khonshu and Ra are making moves and we need to do something. He's like, well, gotta be a king, gotta respect it. There's these kind of, I'd say, soothsayers that kind of work with Wakanda. He doesn't trust. His sister's mad that he's not going to war, and then the book ends, and he goes to Black Panther. Oh yeah, Killmonger, and who's clearly Storm, the Wind Rider, who shoots lightning. Clearly Storm are like, we'll protect Africa if no one else will. And then yeah, he kind of turns to Black. At the very end, Wakanda's attacked. He turns to Black Panther to save his life, and he's like, basically, call everybody, call the army, call my queen, who's Okoye. The enemies call themselves Moon Knight. Wakanda is at war, so that's pretty cool. Looking forward to that. And then I got this one oversized book. I was kind of surprised. It's oversized that way, not so much thick. If you find this, I'm already dead. So it's actually a really cool premise. The government finds this like quantum gate that they can travel through just past the moon. And they've been going through it and setting up like a beachhead, the military. And then this is the first time, remember, the press is going through to kind of see what it's like. And when they land, they're attacked. Everyone gets killed. And this reporter is kind of like on her own. There is one of the surviving members of the military who she's with is there, but he gets iced pretty quickly. But yeah, she's now in this alien world, alien planet, doesn't know anybody, doesn't know anything. And you're basically kind of reading her journal. And it's just like, if you find this, if you're reading this, yeah, I'm either dead or I'm not alive. So yeah, I really like that premise. Art's good. It's written by Matt Kindt. I like a lot of Matt Kindt stuff. I'm surprised. Sometimes he actually draws a lot of his own stuff. So I'm kind of surprised he wasn't. Bill Crabtree's doing art or colors. That's pretty cool. He did colors for The Sixth Gun. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can kind of see that. Oh, sorry. Just wrong myself. Yeah. So. Yeah, the colors do remind me of that book. Those are the singles. Like I said, nothing too crazy. Things are kind of under control. I think the only other Ultimate book I have coming, or that is coming out, is Ultimate X-Men. That should be on my next one stack. That's by Peach Momoko, so I'm looking forward to that. All her books of Marvel have been pretty good so far. And then yeah, just more of the same. Haven't had an issue with Saga in a while. That's should be, I don't know if they're on a hiatus, but you never know with that book sometimes. What else am I missing this month? Usually there's, oh yeah, Saga, and yeah, I can't remember where else. There's no Hellboy minis out right now. Usually they all are out at like the same time. You either get them like no Hellboy minis or a ton of Hellboy minis. But yeah, those are the singles. Only got 2 trades. Since I got all caught up on Berserk last month, I started kicking off getting all the books for Hickman's Avengers run. So this is volume 2. Covers a ton of Avengers content. It's, again, this is all the complete collection, is everything in chronological order, so you can just read through it. I've had to read this through the Marvel Unlimited app, and that is a real pain because you got to flip between a bunch of books at different times, and the app is probably one of the worst UIs I've ever seen. But with this arc, I think this is where Hyperion joins, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this Earth gets destroyed. I think Winnipeg is taken out, city in Canada. Yeah, this one, Winnipeg gets taken out. Like part of the Alpha Flight gets taken over. Shang-Chi joins, does some undercover stuff. Yeah, this is actually really good. This is when things really kind of start to come together in terms of like the larger story, and then you get to see some stuff. And again, there's lots of great artists in this book too. I think Stephen Caselli, I saw, was in there. Mike Dowd Jr., Dustin Weaver. All right, yeah. Jerome Pina. He comes back every once in a while. Nick Spencer, yeah, he writes a couple of issues of the book, which is good. Oh, look at this. Marco Cicchetto. It's kind of interesting going back when I was reading, this is kind of a tangent, but reading through all the old Ultimate comics, especially near the end of Ultimate X-Men, a lot of, other than Pepe Larraz, the other artists that have drawn X-Men comics in the last like 4 or 5 years, all were starting on that book. It seems they all drew Ultimate X-Men before it ended. But yeah, really looking forward to this. Like, once I start picking and reading through it, I'm still trying to get through some other stuff, but want to get this before it starts to go out of print, because then it's like impossible to find, or I'm paying way too much money for the books. Oh yeah, this is really good stuff. Not as many covers. I kind of had a complaint last month where I was like, oh, there's a bunch of covers. There's not as many variants after the first few issues, so not too bad. There's some, actually, okay, there's a few. Some sketch stuff. I always like seeing sketches. Seeing some of the pencil pages is good. There's another one-shot, Shang-Chi, Master Kung Fu, teaming up with Deadpool, obviously seen there, so pretty fun book. And then I got this Howard Chaykin omnibus for Time Squared. I have no idea what this is about, honestly. I like Howard Chaykin. He's kind of one of those, I don't know how to do it. He's done a lot of good work. I've read a lot of his stuff. Haven't read like American Flag, which is what you first kind of noticed, but I've read his Shadow and a lot of his later stuff that he's done, more modern stuff. This is kind of a book he started. This collects 3 volumes, and the 3rd volume he just finished recently. Yeah, you can definitely tell this at the end. It's a lot, just his pencil's a lot newer, but it's kind of like I don't know. This came out like the 80s when like Alan Moore and Frank Miller were really popular and get big. So I think he was working at DC and was able to do his own kind of book too. So I've always heard good things. I read a couple of reviews I looked at a couple of reviews. I didn't want to spoil anything, but I was trying to figure out what is this about. I couldn't really tell. So, but it's got a kind of a noir vibe to it. I like those kind of stories. So big fan of that kind of stuff. So yeah, should enjoy that. Yeah, that's everything for this month. Like I said, nothing too crazy. Just catching up through some good books. Yeah, summertime is here, so more reading outside. I usually end up reading a lot more in the summer because I can sit outside and just enjoy the weather and everything. So that's always nice. Yeah, as always, let me know what you think. Some of your cheers, some of your jeers, and I'll see you next month.